Ready, hot!
I was pleased that we really settled down in the second half and, won the football game and really played well in the second half. I thought the first half and really throughout in different parts of the game, we weren't quite as, precise as we needed to be, missed some scoring opportunities that were set up. And some of it, again, credit UTEP. Some of it, I do believe we could have executed better in some areas. But overall, defensively, we gave up some run game, but in the end, they pitch a shutout and they don't give up a score the entire day. The kicking game after, the initial punt was a situation where we checked our coverage or our protection up front, and all 10 guys have it but one, and that's our fault one way or another. We got to be able to communicate that and get it blocked up. The rest of the day we do block it up and we're fine. And so, those, and then the field goal we just dropped, we have it all set and we just mishandled it setting it down. The rest of the game, it's all clean. Tress hasn't done that all spring, all fall. That's just one of those situations. So offensively, I thought just a little inconsistent in what I mean by that. For instance, early or in the first quarter, we're moving the ball some. We have a big strike down to the inside the 5-yard line, setting up a score, and we have a chop block. And all of a sudden now we're 1st and 25 and can't convert. It's really tough to convert a 1st and 25 and end up having to punt. Then we have 2 opportunities in the second quarter for big plays. One, Trey McTwire is an inch out of bounds on a fade route that he scores a touchdown on. And that's him being, he's a young guy, hasn't played much. He's just drifting instead of holding his ground. He wasn't being pushed out. He's just drifting out instead of staying in bounds and being again more precise, stay in bounds, and then he's got a touchdown. We've got another post route wide open to Justin Brown, and Landry, he's protected well, and unlike him, he threw it behind and over him, and we don't convert. So that's our precision. Those are just 3 opportunities in the first half that that we're not as efficient as we need to be, and therefore we're sitting in there in a tight game. Some of the issues, again, overall, the run game, we averaged over 5 yards a carry, but still can be better, I believe. We still at times missed an assignment or 2 in who we're identifying or who we're going to, which on occasion can happen when people shift or move late in a play, but still we want to clean some of that up. In the second half, there was a time or 2 where we did have a guy breaking open, and Landry was forced to run out of the pocket. And so there's a time or 2 also where the protection broke down. And so, and Landry, I believe, showed he really escaped some things, is moving better. And I believe the more he does it and the more we can, work with him in practice, he'll make some of those throws there on the run that we just missed here the other night. So that has to continue to improve. Anyway, so overall, some of the players, guys that played really well, some of the players of the game, Aaron Colvin and David King defensively, Damian Williams, and Kenny Stills offensively really had special games. Tress Way really hit the ball well. Those are, anyway, some of the guys that were mentioned by coaches that really played well. And then, so now we're back at home against Florida A&M. Joe Taylor's a guy that I coached with way back when, and I guess it was the 2000 after the 2001 season, coached in the Hula Bowl when they had that All-Star game. And in fact, there's a picture hanging in my office of Coach Spurrier and I and Joe coaching in our sandals. That was one time I got to do that, so that was pretty special. And Dick Tomey is also in the picture, was all worked with us. So Joe's a great guy and runs an excellent program. So they're a bunch of good athletes as you watch them play. Guys, you could tell they've done a good job recruiting. Very sound in the things that they do. They're like a lot of offenses, they'll spread it out. Like almost everyone does anymore, 3 and 4 receivers, and all the traditional spread, attack that you get. And then defensively, they get in and out of a 3-man front, 4-man front, and mix up what they do, but coach very well.
Why was it a problem stopping the run?
Well, a couple of issues were really pretty fundamental. Early on, a couple of occasions, our defensive end was just a little bit too far upfield, and we'd have it all taken care of along the line. He'd bend it back, and there's the crease. When you run upfield, the ball bends back, it gets inside of you, and so some of those instances, defensive end just needs to sit at home and play it, and then a time or two we missed a tackle on the goal line for the big one, and that's a formation we hadn't seen or worked. So in the players' defense, that's something we'll do better as coaches to be in that formation, to be in a better position. And and then another time a safety missed a fit on one of the bend backs and got us for a little bit. So all things that we feel pretty confident that we'll be able to handle, and moving forward, there are things that will continue to work.
Bob, since you've been the coach here, you've always rotated your defensive tackles. In this game, you played primarily 2 guys. What's the status of Casey Walker and some of the depth that you're trying to
No change yet with Casey that I know of. So the status is still, bringing along the other guys that we have. So no change. And but those guys played well. Jamarcus and David had really good games. Like I said, some of the issues with the run game were not because of them. Some of it, like I said, on the bend back, a little better technique by the defensive ends. And when they did do it properly, we played it well. And then a couple of fits, where a guy got out of a position and they pop, and that happens once in a while.
Change in Stacey McGee's status?
No.
Torrey Peterson, I guess we'll just continue. Is he with the team?
Torrey's with us, and actually there was an academic issue that we're still working through with Torrey.
Bob, is there any update on Jalen Saunders?
The last update was that the NCAA denied his appeal.
What's your thoughts about the pass protection? The 3 sacks, what were your thoughts about that?
A couple of them were covered. He had time to throw, need to throw the ball away, or we need to get open. And then there's a time or two where he did get pressured. We got caught, with a player or two where either from the box we need to change it, or we need to be able to recognize it as it's unfolding and pick it up. But overall, there's plenty of plays where we've got opportunities to throw the ball, and so it can be better, sure, and that's not uncommon in the first game. But and we need it to be better. But overall, it wasn't all that bad either.
Why didn't Roy Finch play on Saturday?
Well, the other guys, we play who we feel is set to play the best for us right now. And so you want to ask about why another 90 guys didn't play? I mean, we play who we feel is set to play. There's no specific reason other from today through the end of the year. Guys play who we feel are in the best position to play at the time. So I'll repeat that answer from here to the end of time.
Okay. I didn't want to ask about 90 other guys because Roy was the starting running back at the end of the year last year.
Okay, well, he isn't today.
When you went on the road to Florida State a year ago.
And Dominic was the starting running back until he got hurt, if you remember. Okay.
Your first road game last year, you had some guys that played on your offensive line now, but everybody's playing in a different position than they were then. Is it just natural that those guys kind of go, not that they played horribly, but is it natural those guys kind of go through some growing pains?
Sure it is. There were some signs of some inexperience at times. As I said, when the picture changes on the snap, adjusting to it, and so there was a time or two that definitely happened. With some of the guys that haven't played as much, but overall, we averaged up more than 5 yards a carry, and like I said, a lot of times we did pick up what they were, coming with, and so, but we'll keep, it'll be a work in progress, but I still feel the quality's there to be good.
Were you surprised the way the game went? I mean, did you see things, did they perform better in practices than the actual game?
Well, like I told you, it was a little bit inconsistent. For instance, there's a 3rd and 9. We've got a good route called. It's coming open, and our receiver slips and falls down on the curl route. Well, it's 3rd and 9. We throw the ball. He falls down, incomplete. We're punting. Like I said, a couple of big plays. We have in the chop block. It was a good block by Dom. The offensive lineman barely has a hand on the guy. He's already passed him, but it's one of those. It's good. It's a good call, judgment call. So there's just little things like that, like I said. So we weren't far off.
How'd you feel your run blocking was?
Pretty good, really. Now, needs to be better. I think there's 4 or 5 instances where we don't pick up the right guy, 1 or 2 guys here or there. But when you average, over 5 yards a carry, and Damian had, whatever he averaged, almost 9 yards a carry or 10, whatever it was. You're doing a lot of things right.
Seemed like you guys moved the ball a lot better when you were going faster. Was there anything that prevented you from keeping that tempo throughout the game? And then also, I noticed you guys have placards on the sideline this year. What is?
Well, just changing up how we signal, just trying to make it in different, give people different ways to signal, so you're hopefully not having your signals picked up. And then, you can, the tempo issue is something that you can. There's no reason you can't do it all the time, so it's just, sometimes though you'll do it and you get to a run game, and it's because they're all moving. It's hard to identify who we're targeting, who we're blocking, and sometimes it can backfire on you, but some of the things that we did tempo-wise were good.
Bob, Kevin Wilson and Chuck Long used to talk about how they would work with their quarterbacks during the week leading up to the game to kind of get them into a game, get them plays that they like, things like that. And you had Sam and Jason that would complete 14, 15 passes in a row to start a game. Is there a way that you could get with Landry that maybe you haven't been doing?
Well, yeah, sure. Well, we're trying. I mean, Josh Heupel's from that same school. Josh Heupel worked with Kevin Wilson every day and was the quarterback coach. So we're doing the same things we've always done. Again, I think a little bit of precision across the board. Receiver not falling down, receiver stay in bounds when you got to go right on the boundary. Don't fade out of bounds. Those kind of things. We just, we got a guy coming open in the post. Complete it. You got a guy coming open in the post. He gets pressured. You got to abort the pocket. So it just needs to be more efficient.
How did your linebackers play? How did your secondary play?
Overall, they played pretty well. I thought Tom Wirt, Corey Nelson did a really good job. The secondary, I thought, was really good. I don't care who you're playing. You limit. They really challenged them, took away all their easy throws. You limit someone entire day to 50 or whatever it was yards passing. That's a solid day. And coming up from the secondary tackling, there was only 1 or 2 instances where we were late or missed where we were supposed to be and gave up a run. And again, that's something, though, that we need to clean up, and I think we will.
Bob, on Coleman's play when they broke the long run, that shows you, that was a heck of a play, it looked like, in that play, because he's even blocked on the play. His emergence at corners can be a big.
Aaron's a great player. He's a great athlete and a very competitive person. He's going to be special, I believe.
Damian Williams has never played in that hurry-up offense. So how do you think he did?
Damian did great. Where he's supposed to be, his assignments, picking up some blitzes, really did well with that, which was great to see. And then it was obvious how well he ran with the football. So Damian had a really good night.
Bob, who's going to be rotating in at defensive line, assuming Torrier's out? Is that a safe assumption for this week?
Yes, but we'll see. Same guys.
You're missing 3 of them there, so who all is?
Jordan Phillips,
right.
Also, and Marquise Anderson. Yeah, so we never rotate more than 4 guys. Not usually,
So basically those 2, though.
Those 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd your defensive ends play?
Other than the bend back, just getting a little upfield, for the most part, pretty good. Chuka had a good day once he was on one of the occasions, but after that he settled in pretty good, and so I thought pretty good. But that's a fundamental issue that's easy to correct, and they should have, been in better position even to start. But I think it's something they can do.
In the fourth quarter, the Miners were cramping, and David King played every single snap that he was out there. What's that say about your guys' conditioning and about David King?
I think it says a lot that whether it's conditioning, we were in great shape, and also I think between our trainers and Coach Schmidt and us as coaches and the players being aware of it, of hydrating properly through the week leading up to the game, eating properly, and being ready for that, to play a number of snaps and to stay on the field. And David's a great conditioned athlete and one of the best. And I was proud of Jamarcus, too, all those guys that played the way they did, and everyone. Now, like I said, we didn't have one issue cramping-wise. And so, again, credit to the people taking care of the players and making them aware of it, and the players, taking it to heart and making sure they were prepared for the hot conditions.
You use Jaden Bird in the diamond, right?
Yes, Jaden's excellent in there. Everyone forgets he's a high school running back and a good one, and does a good job in there. He did it last year for us too. That's why we had to change his number from 55 to 44, so we could throw the ball to him once in a while out there too.
He's still your backup, Mike, as well on defense behind Tom.
Yeah. Jaden's a bright guy. He handles it well. They got their certain times that they get him in meetings, or if he comes up during the day, and school him up on what they want him to do, what they're looking to do that day, and then he goes over there for a period of practice when they're working on it.
Dom obviously held up health-wise. What did you think about his performance the other night?
Who?
Dominique Whaley.
Dom, I believe he's, looked good, felt good afterwards. And I think it's natural that he hasn't carried the ball since October, that he, that he'll hopefully, and believe so, as he goes forward, he'll, knock some rust off and continue to, to do well and get better and better as he goes.
Do you think it's important that a team has a go-to receiver and number one receiver? Is that a concern for you at all?
I don't believe in a go-to receiver as much as I believe in the schemes that we have, that we ought to be able to go 1, 2, 3, depending on what they're doing. This guy ought to be open, or that guy ought to be open, and you go through a read progression that a go-to guy, if you're going to double team him, can always be taken away, that you got to be able to go to someone else. So I think it's just the progression of routes and being up, making people hopefully defend the field and all of your receivers.
I guess, we're not made out of wood. Quarterbacks certainly, and you're going to get a comfortable feeling with, maybe it's Ryan Broyles last year, obviously, has such a success rate. Do you think that Kenny and Landry sort of...
It's one game, so has that happened yet? No. So,
Coach, how do you think your tight ends played, and will Grissom be back this week?
Gino will be back this week, and Brandon did a nice job. Taylor, can do some things better. Young, he missed a hot on one of the blitzes that we got in trouble on. That's inexperience. He needs to be, looking for the ball quicker, and if he was, we'd have had a good play, and he wasn't. So, that's another part of what I said about being more efficient and recognizing things as they happen on the fly. And but Brandon did a nice job. Good touchdown pass, ran a good route, and he has good hands.
You went back to Eichert on the blocking for the punt. Is there anything that you won't ask him to do, anything he can't do for you? No,
but Gabe did it all last year as well, so he's the guy that handles it the best. And so, no, Gabe can do anything. He's pretty special.
Have you come to the conclusion that you're not really in favor of giving the team the ball in the 25? It seemed like O'Hara was kind of hanging it up a little bit more instead of just kicking it out of the end zone.
Yeah, but, he hung it up in the air, but they were all 3, 4, 5 yards deep. And I was pleased, we really covered. And that's what I was been watching all these early games that before we played Thursday, Friday, Saturday, kind of paying attention to how deep they're catching the ball and where are they getting. And it's hard to get it to the 25 when you're catching it in those letters. And so when he was catching it in letters, they didn't get it to the 25, or sometimes not even the 20, that Patrick had a lot of good hang time, and the coverage was good. So that was a positive thing.
But if you've got a special kick returner back there, I mean, I'm sure you'll instruct him just to, get the line and out of it.
You would like to, but sometimes it's a little easier said than done. If you try and hit too much of the middle of the ball, you can line drive it right to them, or then you get a little under it, and some of them drift high. So yeah, but obviously Patty isn't 100% on being able to hit it right where you need to. Sometimes it gets a little under it, and it's up there. At least it's hanging high. But you're right. Then you're not driving it out of the end zone either.
You got to be pretty happy with where all your kickers are right now. The one Honeycutt got a hold of, that was.
Michael's hit the ball really well. He had no prayer on the one. That wasn't his fault. But the rest of them, yeah, Mike's hitting them well, and Tress is punting the heck out of the ball, so, but we expected him to. He's been pretty consistent.
We could see last spring, even in the red-white game, the first chance that Trey was playing for you guys, at least in public, what kind of natural skill he has. By what you were saying earlier, he still has a lot of development to catch up maybe to some of this.
Well, a little bit, and that's not fair. He hasn't played in the game, and some of it showed. The one screen we throw to the running back, we bust on who's picking up the linebacker. And so instead of being third and medium or short, we end up third and 11 and end up, again, in a bad spot because of a breakdown mentally. So he's going to be, listen, I still got great confidence in Trey. He's going to be really good. And it's just one of those things you got to keep playing. And the more you play, hope he's going to continue to get better and make those kind of plays that he almost made. You could say almost, but in the end, he's competitive like that going after the ball.
You've always been a guy that has done whatever you can, whatever's in your power, to not run the score up on an opponent that's outmatched. How will you approach
even A&M when we were up 70-0?
You were laying down in the middle of the field, right?
Yeah, had Keywan take a hit. He should have slid though.
How do you try to approach that mentally this week, knowing that you've got so much work to do coming back from UTEP?
I don't even think of things like that going into a game. So you're asking me something that I won't even entertain. To me, it's all about us and making improvement and being sharper, and that's all I'm thinking about.
With what happened in Stillwater on Saturday night, 84-0, does that enter into your mind that you don't want to?
I wasn't in Stillwater. I got nothing to do with that, and I don't think that way. So you're asking me something that I don't have an answer for you.
I guess what I'm getting at is that's a team from your conference.
I still don't have an answer for you.
Playing against a team from that conference that got beat 84-0.
I don't care anything about what happened there, and I don't go there before any game. So.
Bob, we heard a lot in the game about making an effort to get Trey Miller the ball more. And the times he did get the ball, he seemed to gain pretty good yardage. Is there going to be more of an effort to get him the ball going forward? Or was that thought about it all through the game?
No. I thought Damian ran it pretty decent, didn't he? And so did Dom. So, I'm not just going to sit here and worry that each guy got to get this many. It just happens to be in the flow of a game.
You addressed a lot of reasons why things didn't go as you wanted them to go. My question is about third down. You struggled on third down conversions. Is the answer what you've already said, or was there some failing on third down throughout the game?
I've said it already tonight, just some of the efficiency. There are opportunities where he was protected, had time to throw, were not open. He holds it too long, he either got to throw it away or he got a sack. There are other times we've got guys breaking open, one guy falls down. The curl route's right there. He falls down, slips, falls down, incomplete pass. Another instance, he goes back. Here's a guy breaking open, and there's somebody, that's pushing him out of the pocket. So together, it needs to be gelled better, And so it's our job as coaches to do it, and the players' job to execute better, when things happen.
A month ago, Justin was just getting settled into this program. Did he have the kind of game you expected? And talk about his return game.
Justin was awesome and everything, every part of the game. Caught the ball well, was competitive, blocked well, competed the entire night and was excellent returning. Averaged over 10 yards a return. And even the ones he fair caught or at the end there he went up and got one. He did a great job getting a jump on the ball and 'cause that kicker was big on hitting them wherever and letting them bounce. And he got one bounce he couldn't get to, but most of the others, even when he didn't have a return or he fair caught or got to him, he did a great job with it. So he was one of the guys. The three newcomers got the game balls was Justin, and then Brandon Green and Damian Williams.
What's your, just considering everything that happened, and you talk about some of the mistakes or whatever, what's your level of concern? Are these all, I guess, correctable? You got some.
Yeah, you just have to. You know what? Everyone wants to judge the whole season on one game. We won 24-7. I think a year ago we won 47-14 against Tulsa in our opening game, right? What'd that result to? 10-3 year and not a championship, right? We've had other years we've won championships and we've played pretty average in the first game or two and got better as the year goes. My concern is that we get better, that we make improvement, learn from some of the things we weren't quite as efficient at, and that's our job as coaches to point out and to players to take notice of it, be aware of it, and improve it, whether it's practice and next week and moving forward, as we go. So it's one game, and we got a long year in front of us, and how you start doesn't always have anything to do with how you finish. Like I said, we started like gangbusters a year ago against a really good Tulsa team. And that ended up, like I said, 10-3. So.
Bob, on your punt coverage, Daniel got blocked really hard or got tackled really hard. Was he able to come back in the game? Who's your backup snapper if you have to?
Austin Woods and Connor Knight, Trevor Knight's brother's also a tight end for us that also is a really good snapper. So those two. But Daniel was okay. No, he didn't. It wasn't head. He just got the wind knocked out of him, and as he put it, he goes, "I just got blasted." So he just had to shake it off, and he did. By the time we're, within a series, he was good again, and Daniel does a great job with that.
I thought I saw Nathan Hughes wearing 89. Is he?
Yeah, Nathan, once in a while for tight end can do some tight end stuff too. In some of our bigger packages. So. So we'll continue to work him both tackle and tight end. He's up to about 275 pounds, so he's on his way to being one of those, positions, or both. Just like you see some teams have used tackles in tight end numbers, and he can do that a little bit. I remember playing Stanford, and I saw a number, I think it was 90, come out, and he hadn't caught a pass all day, and you're thinking you got to cover him with the safety, and he was 310 pounds, I think, and I said to Brent, that guy's never going to go out for a pass. He said, that's a tackle and a tight end's number. So, Nathan can, hopefully as we move forward and more he gets used to things, might be able to help that way too in some of our heavier situations.
Bob, you said you were pleased with the secondary. What about Tony Jefferson specifically?
Tony did a lot of good things. Had one missed assignment, gave up a run, but the rest of the time he came up and had a lot of really good plays.
Okay.